Hello everyone, Peterson here, bringing you some more analysis from my tournament games in 2012. This time I'm going to be playing white against Francisco Greus. Well, I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, so I'm just going to say Greus, and hopefully no one bites my head off about that. He's an expert. I believe he's actually has a doctorate in physics, if I'm not mistaken. I think he does something with physics for his job. I believe he works at the University of Northern Colorado, but again, I'm not sure. It's all speculation. But anyway, he's a really smart guy. He's an expert. I believe he's also from Spain. Not sure. But I was a little nervous going into this game because, actually, it's looking at it from the white side. Okay, so I was a little nervous going into this game because I had heard stories from Brian Wall about how Francisco Greus was a really tough opponent, and that Brian was having trouble defeating him in games. So I wasn't quite sure how the game was going to pan out or what he played or anything. So I think 90% of the time I go into games totally oblivious to what my opponent's going to do and just make things up on the fly, which is both sad and depressing and somewhat impressive that I can have such a decent score doing that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just lucky, I guess. So I started out with e4, then he played e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, bishop c5, b5. Now, this is called the Evans Gambit. It's an opening that I use quite a bit when I play blitz or speed chess. Also, like quick chess, so like game 15 or something like that. I've never actually played it in a regular rated game, though, and I was kind of nervous about how I would do. But I usually have pretty good success with it in the quick time controls. So I think with a little bit more time, I can come up with some more or some better attacking ideas. So bishop takes b4. The main idea behind the Evans Gambit is to get c3 and then d4 in, just to take over the center. So that's the main goal. Bishop takes b4. I believe Garry Kasparov played a game as white where his opponent backed up to b6, and I think Kasparov just kind of rolled him on the queen side, but I'm not too certain on that. So bishop takes b4, pawn c3, bishop d6, and this is a pretty popular way to defend against the Gambit. I don't really understand it though, because it kind of hinders black's development a little bit, because now the light square bishop doesn't know where to go. But maybe the overprotection of the e5 square makes it worth it, but I'm not sure. So castles, knight f6, d4, h6. Let me go ahead and turn the computer on, and if we go back, d4, knight takes e4 is not a very good line here, because of d takes e5, knight takes e5, and now just rook e1, and now the let me see if I can do these arrows. Now the pressure on the e file is going to be really strong. I'm going to be winning material at some point, and as you can see, the computer agrees with me a little bit here. So h6, and now I played this knight takes e5 line, which it's not a popular line, I don't believe, but I have played it a few times against Dean Samsarovich, who is a kind of a local hustler type player. He only plays for money. I don't know, I've played a ton of games with him, sometimes for like $1 a game, sometimes for like 25 cents a game, with mixed results, but I don't think I've ever lost money to him. But well, at least not substantial amounts of money. We're probably about even. But he's a really stalwart defender, and I have a hard time cracking him, and the thing is, he plays really fast, so he plays really fast and really solid, so it's a really difficult style to play against in blitz, especially when you look at the style that I have, where I'm like all crazy sacrificial, or I don't put much thought into my moves, so a solid player can have some really good success against me. So knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, and now I played f4, which is the main idea behind my knight takes e5 move. If he had played knight takes, this is actually worse for him, because after d takes, bishop takes, and now f4, he's actually losing a piece, which is no good for him. Well, maybe he's not losing a piece, but it doesn't look too good. Now his bishop has to, or his knight has to retreat, and now I got crazy stuff like this happening. So this looks really good for white already, and the computer says I'm just winning. So that's why he played bishop takes e5, much better move. So f4, and now you can see I have a really strong center here. It's like the biggest center you could possibly have. Well, maybe if the pawn was on c4, it would be a little bit better. But well, no, because then the d4 square would be weak. But anyway, but I have complete dominance in the center here. So that's the whole point of this. So bishop d6. Maybe he can sack with bishop takes d4 and have a decent position out of this. Yeah, because now knight e4, and then he has this d5 resource if I try rook e1. So Fritz says I should just go. Oh, I should just play d5 myself. And now, well, that's weird. Queen f6. Oh, queen f6 on the rook. Yeah. So it's still an interesting game here, and white's giving up a lot of material here, but you can see he has lots of white has lots of compensation, because even though he's down 2 pawns now, the computer's only giving it a minus 0.4 evaluation. So that's less than half a pawn right there. So white almost has 2 complete pawns full of compensation. So bishop d6, and now e5. I have to try to regain my piece somehow. So e5, forking the bishop and the knight. Bishop e7, and now I played a move that's not really that good. It's really interesting idea, but it really doesn't do too much. I played f5, and I'm basically offering him a piece here, and this is something I haven't tried against Dean, and I think I might try it next time I play him. But the basic idea is if he gets too greedy with knight h7 or knight g8, for example, let's just say knight h7, so that he reserves the right to castle. So now f6, and if he basically, I'm just trying to destroy his king side, and since he has a lack of development on the queen side, maybe I can make some type of attack happen over there. But without too many pieces over there, it won't be really happening. But one crazy example is if he plays pawn takes g6. This is actually a forced checkmate for white. As you can see, the computer says mate in 10, and it's the craziest checkmate I've ever seen. Look at this. Alright, so bishop takes f7 check. And now what happens is the king goes on a pilgrimage. He goes all the way, I believe he goes all the way to c4, and then all the way back to f8 or g8, where he gets checkmated. It's really crazy. Watch this. Alright, so king takes f7, queen h5 check, king e6, queen g4 check. Now he goes king d5. Okay, so king d5. If he goes back to f7, then I have e6 check, d e6, queen h5, king f8, bishop check, and then that's a checkmate. So that's the checkmate that is always threatening black if he tries to retreat his king, or if he makes a misstep. So he has to go king d5. f5 is actually mate sooner, so pawn takes king d5, and now queen f7 is mate. Also queen f3 would be a mate, but that's totally possible. So he has to go king d5, and now queen f3 check. c4 check would also be a mate. King c4, queen e2 check. Now king d5 is the only move. Now c4 check, king e6. If he plays king takes d4, it's checkmate a little bit faster, with bishop c5 mate there. So he has to go king e6, and now queen g4 check again, king f7, queen h5, and now that checkmate. So I think that's the craziest checkmate I've ever seen. What is it? It was like a mate in 10. Yeah, forced mate in 10, and the king goes all the way up to c4. He goes all the way up to c4, and then he goes all the way back and gets checkmated. So I don't know. I thought that was a pretty interesting variation. So I thought I would throw it in here. But after f5, so that was just one idea. There's other ideas. So if he goes knight g8, then a similar type of thing happens. So queen h5, and it says he should sacrifice, but there isn't too many other good moves for him to play here either, since I have such massive pressure on f7. It's not easy for him to alleviate. But the best move that he could play is actually d5. And it's very similar to what he played, but it just gains an extra tempo, so that's why it's a little bit better. So f5, and now he castles, which totally logical move. So e takes f6. Now I could try to maintain the sacrifice by playing bishop d3, for example, or bishop b3, but I mean, since black is already castled and I don't have very much development to deal with a castled king, the attack won't really be going anywhere. So I figured I might as well just take the piece back. So now I played queen g4, king h7, which maybe a slight inaccuracy. Better would be like d5, or maybe the computer says h5, but I wouldn't expect any computer players to play that, or human players to play that. Well, if they saw the tactic behind it, then maybe. But you'll see the tactic here in a second. King h7, and now I play bishop f4, which is admittedly a pretty bad mistake, because I missed this knight takes d4 shot, which is the same reason why h5 was the best move a couple moves ago. Because after knight takes d4, I can't play c takes, because he'll play bishop takes, which both attacks my king and my rook, so I'll be losing material there. So after I saw him play this move, though, I figured, you know, I was already down one pawn, and now I'm just going to be down 2 pawns, but I am exchanging it for 2 tempos. The one tempo is to develop my bishop, and the other tempo is to maybe develop my knight or whatever. So basically I lost two pawns, but I have 2 extra moves of development in, which admittedly is not a fair trade, but I don't know. I'm not too disappointed with my position, although the computer definitely doesn't like it too much, but that's with a computer's defense, not a human's defense. Yeah, but I mean, in the meantime, he's going to be struggling with trying to get his bishop and his rook into the game, because they're kind of locked behind all these queenside pawns. So, I mean, not only am I 2 tempos, actually maybe I'm like 3 or 4 tempos up, because he has to move one of his pawns to get his bishop out, and then also move his queen to get his rook into the game. So maybe I'm like 4 tempos ahead in development at the moment. So knight d2. And now he plays knight c6. Now, he could just leave the knight there, because if I take it, he's going to take check and take the rook anyway. And although I would be getting 2 pieces for a rook and a pawn, he could play a move like d5 and win a tempo, rather than wasting a tempo with knight c6. So now I played knight e4, and suddenly my huge lead in development is starting to show itself. My pieces are looking a lot more menacing. Although there's nothing forced right now, the ideas are definitely starting to formulate, so Francisco has to be really on his toes and be watching out for tactical shots. So he plays rook e8. He should definitely be trying to play d5. That pawn on d7 is hindering his development by a great deal. So if he can play d5 or even d6, as the computer's suggesting, he'll be doing a little bit better. But I think the position's definitely equalized a little bit. So he played rook e8. I played rook a to e1. Here again, he should be playing d5, and this move was a little scary, but it does not quite work. So if he plays d5, d5, I can actually just play bishop takes d5. The bishop is actually indirectly defended because of knight takes f6 check. Whoa, let me fix that really quick. So knight takes f6 check, and then I'll be picking up the rook on e8. So he can't actually take the pawn on the bishop on d5. So instead he played knight e5. And despite being two full pawns down, it's almost like I'm playing up a bishop and a rook at this point. His lack of development is hurting him severely, and now I have some really forcing tactics. So I played bishop takes e5. Another more potent option might be to play knight takes f6. After queen takes f6, bishop e5, rook e5, rook e5, queen e5, and now bishop takes f7. And now the light squares around his king are just demolished, and I'll be able to penetrate fairly quickly. And he's still two tempos, well, three tempos really, from getting fully developed. One to free his bishop with a pawn move, two to move the pawn, and then three to get the rook into the game. So he's three tempos behind in development. I've traded off all but one of his developed pieces, and now I have three attackers at this point. So he's in big trouble. So let's just go back. So instead of knight takes f6, I played bishop takes e5, rook takes e5. It's the best defense for him, but it's not quite doing what it should. So if he plays bishop takes f6, then I have the crushing f6 move. And Garry Kasparov said that a pawn near the king is worth a piece, and I'm only down 2 pawns, so it's definitely really strong. So if he plays g6, then bishop takes f7, rook g8, bishop takes g8, queen g8, knight g5 check, excellent move, king h8, now f7, and now it's obvious, it's totally obvious that white is just totally winning here. The bishop and the rook are still undeveloped, and it's just brutal at this point. So bishop takes e5, rook takes e5. So now I play bishop takes f7, and it's not the right way to continue. A more forcing line is to play knight takes f6, queen f6, rook e5, queen e5, bishop f7, and now we have the same position that we had before, exactly the same. It's just we got there in a different move order. So here's a sample line that could come out of that. Queen c5, king h1, queen f8, queen g6, king h8, and again the light squares will just be the death of him. I mean, a simple plan might be to play pawn to f6 and then redirect the bishop here, and now I don't know, black's in huge trouble. So instead I played bishop takes f7. He played d6, finally freeing up his bishop a little bit. And now I played rook e3, which I think is a really good move here. The rook lift opens up many additional attacking ideas, because I'm going to be swinging the rook over here, leading to potential sacrifices on h6, or even to g3, pressuring g6 and g7. So black played queen e7, And the final, not so obvious mistake that Francisco made. But when you're subjected to like this constant barrage of tactics and attacking ideas, it's easy to get worn down and play inferior defensive moves. So, I mean, some good examples of that is when I was playing the Grandmaster Baccarat, and when my win against Brian Wall at the same tournament, actually, at the Bobby Fischer Memorial. It was just like constant tactics, all over and over and over, and then I was lucky enough for them to make a mistake, and then I was able to capitalize on that for the most part. So some other defensive ideas might be to play King H8, Queen G6, Rook E4. I mean, there really isn't too much that Black can do. White's just invading heavily. So, Rook E4, Rook E4, Bishop D7, Rook F3, D5, Rook H3, threatening checkmates. Bishop G5, Bishop takes D5, and I mean, it's just getting easier and easier with every move. Even though Black's finally completing his development, it's just, I'm up at exchange. No, yeah, I'm up at exchange. And I mean, I should be able to just win this fairly quickly. So Rook E3, Queen E7. So Queen G6 check, King H8, Rook H3. And now, as you can see from the computer analysis, that it's getting hopeless at this point for Black. So Bishop H4. Another option is Bishop takes F5. Maybe the best defense, but definitely still not defending well enough. Bishop H4, Rook E5, Pawn E5, G3, Rook F8, Bishop C4. And as you can see, I mean, well, maybe that's not doing anything, but it's getting really, really bad. Bishop G5, Knight G5. I mean, I have mate threats. This can't even be taken. Queen C5 check, King H1, Queen E4. And now, as you can see, I'm just +7 at this point. I'm up 2 pieces. So, definitely winning. So Rook H3, Bishop H4, and now that devastating Pawn F6 move. And this move interrupts the connection of the Queen and Bishop, and so this Queen is no longer defending the Bishop on H4. And it also undermines the defense of this H6 square. So, I mean, it basically does everything. And it leads to a quick checkmate too. So Queen F8, there isn't any other defensive moves. Rook takes H4, just simply removing the final defender. Bishop F8, and now F takes G7. And with checkmate looming, Francisco threw in the towel here. So just to show one of the checkmates, F takes G7, Queen G7, Rook H6. And now Queen F6 is mate. So that's my game against Francisco. I thought it was a pretty good game. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I don't know if you can tell, but I got another component for my computer, so the sound quality should now be somewhat excellent. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. Let me know if there's any problems. There might be like wind sounds because I'm not too used to the new microphone. Yeah, so that is the last game that I played for this particular tournament, the Fort Collins Denver match. Mostly because my teammates did not have very good success in the tournament, so when we were going into rounds 3 and 4, we were so far behind we had pretty much no hope of winning. And I got in a little dispute with the tournament director, and I decided to withdraw. And I believe it's the first tournament that I've ever purposely withdrawn from, and I mean, in a way I kind of regret it, but you know, I kind of have a feeling that it's important to stand on your principles, and so I guess I don't regret it in that case. So it would have been nice to finish the tournament because the other 2 players were both 2100 players. Eric Montany, who After several more months, he became a master, and then also Zach Beckedahl, who was actually the tournament director, is also a very strong player. I think he's in the 2150s or something now, so he's on his way to being a master as well. So those would have been really good games, and kind of disappointed that I didn't get to play them. So, so that's it for that. I'll be continuing the series. I'm not sure what my next tournament is, but I guess you guys will find out. Thanks, and I'll catch you guys next time.